So we've made a lot of progress. If we look at what we've got right now, it's kind of chunked out into different pieces. We've got teacher presence, cognitive presence, a little bit of social presence, clear instructions, a lot of different components. We've broken the assignment and the submission part off from the video. And one of the things about doing that with two pieces like that is that it's much more likely that the students aren't going to skip the video if the whole written questions aren't right under it. So by separating those visually, we kind of create this 1-2 kind of stepping through the assignment. So we've done a lot. We've come a long way. If we compare this back to the original look of the assignment back up here, we can see that, wow, we've made a lot of progress from this. And it's much more likely that we're going to have something that students will engage with and do as we intended it inside our heads. But having said that, there are still some issues that we have faced here. One issue is that as we look at this assignment here, I'm still a little bit concerned about the text dependency. Also, there's no images, so there's no real pop to it visually. And then the third thing is that the Simon Sinek video, if you click on that, it's going to take a kid to YouTube. And one of the things we worry about is if a kid goes to YouTube, they may never come back. So we could lose them there. So where possible, we want to keep the kids with blinders focused, distraction free from that, and YouTube can be a huge distraction. So the question would be, how might we fix those three issues by doing something a little bit different? And that's what this video is going to address. In the Google environment, one cool way to do this is by the use of Google Slides. And so let's take a look at what something like this might look like in a Google environment with a slideshow. So here is the same assignment done in the Google Slides version. One quick point of note here is that in the video that you're looking, the slide is cut off below the video. But if you look at the thumbnail, and I've also pasted a link to this document in the video description, and if you're doing the learning management system version, you've already got access to it, you can see that the whole thumbnail is there, and you'll be able to see the whole version. So just a reminder that this bottom portion is there with the assignment links, and it's cut off and you can't see it. But we've addressed the three things that we've got here. And the first thing, though, you might look at is you say, wait a second, that doesn't look like a slide. That looks like a piece of paper. That's not Google Slides. But a really cool trick, if you don't know it yet with Google Slides, is that in the top left-hand corner, you have your file. And I realize this is a little bit small. Let's see if we can make it a little bit bigger here. You've got file and page setup. And if you go there, you have an option for the size of your slides. Now, it defaults to standard 4x3. So you just select custom, then type in the dimensions of a piece of paper, 8.5, 8.5 by 11, and hit apply, which I've already done for this one. And it changes your slide to the size of a piece of paper, which is awesome because now it's something that you can put it on like an assignment kind of thing. And so that's how you set that up. And then basically we're going to try to do it this week. The nice thing about that now is you can drop images in. And that's what I've done here in the top right-hand corner. In design, often we want to put one visually appealing image that's going to center the brain on what the paper is about. So I've gone to pixabay.com, which is a great source of open source images that you don't even need to put attributions for. It's just amazing. And I've picked an image that I think is kind of visually representative of what this assignment is. As a side note, if I were going to really do this for students, I would probably look for a little bit more diverse image, maybe a little bit more equitable image. But for right now, I think you get the idea. This is kind of what we want to do with this. And so that will help. Now the student's eye, when they look at this, they're going to see students with cell phones. So before they're even a half a second into the assignment, they have an idea what it's about. They see the title, and now they're going. So we've very kind of quickly launched them into that context of the assignment. The second thing is here, you'll notice that we have a click the audio to start. And the cool thing about this is, so we've embedded an audio file into the document. If you don't know how to do that, I've included a separate video after this one that shows you how to do that with an MP3 file. And what happens with this now then is if we do view, present, when the students get it, I'm just going to pull this over here, and they click on that, they can
Greetings,
hear
everyone. I hope you had a good weekend and are ready to get learning this week. This week we'll reach...
You get the idea. So that whole piece there, that whole piece of having to read that whole large blob of text that was in this part here at the top third above the movie time, they can now just listen to the teacher's voice. So it increases teacher presence, it reduces the text dependency in assignment. Problem number 2 solved. The third thing was the idea that the video forced you to go to YouTube to watch it, and who knows if we'll ever get them back. So what I've done here now is embed the video into the document. So again, if the students are going to view this in a presentational format, once you share the viewing rights to them, they can basically just go in. I'm going to move this over a little bit here. Sorry, I gotta go over here. There we go. They can just click the video, and the video
I
is going
have
to
yet
play
to
right
give a
inside the
speech or have a
document
meeting where somebody
itself, and
doesn't
they can
ask me the
resize it if
millennial
they want to. And they could still go to YouTube, but they don't have to. So that's the nice thing about that. And the question is, how do we accomplish that? And let me just show you real quick in case you don't know how to do it. It's a very simple process. Basically, we're going to come up in here and we want to insert a video. And if I go to YouTube to get that video that I want to copy the URL up here. So I'm just going to copy that, come back in here. You've got some options. You could search for it here, but I know what the URL is, so I'm just going to paste it in. That pulls the video up. And then down below this video, you can't see it because it's cut off in the video that you're watching, is a little blue select button. And you just hit select and you hit that button, and then it's going to pop a new version of the video in there, and then they can watch it inside the slide presentation without having to launch themselves out to YouTube itself. So we've done a lot of things with this version, and if we compare this version back to that original version way back here, we can certainly see quite a bit of difference, and for not necessarily, in a very short time, we can see quite a bit of difference. There's a couple things I'd like to mention before we wrap up. The first version, the first thing is that you might look at this and say, well, yeah, this is all great, but I don't have an hour to spend on an assignment doing this. And there's a couple things to mention about that. First, you always have to balance the time versus the value, things like that. If I were making this assignment as kind of a one-off, I would probably stop at the Google Docs version. Now, I work in a learning management system, so I can design something like this within the learning management system very effectively. But if I were going to use this assignment for a number of classes or things like that, I might be inclined to spend that extra time. But the question is, how many times is this going to be used? And you have to kind of measure how much time you're going to spend building it. The other thing I will say too, though, is that the first time you do something like this, it takes time. The second time, often you're cloning and pasting and replacing. You could see if you had another assignment that involved watching a video and you had this kind of context and answering questions on a video, you could come to this Google Slides version, copy it, change the title, swap in a picture, change the audio file, write some stuff, and you're kind of swapping pieces in and out, and it's much, much faster. And generally, you'll find that after you do this in a while, you can get down to the point where it's about 15 to 20 minutes kind of preparing an assignment in a much higher level of quality because you're copying and pasting so many of the components that you've used before. And that, I feel like, is a good amount of time when you can get to that point. So hopefully this was all helpful. If you're watching on the YouTube version, I'd love to hear your feedback and down in the comments and things like that. If you're doing this in a distant learning management system, our learning management system with our district, please feel free to reach out to me by email and get in touch and let me know what you've thought, if you appreciate it and you try it and you're finding it helpful. I'd love to hear your feedback. Thank you so much for working through it. I know it's a busy time, and I hope you enjoyed the thing. Hope you find it valuable. So thanks so much. Stay safe. Have a great day. And thank you again for jumping in and enjoying this session with us.